favorite memories of Willis are taking to the movie theater to see movies the last few years. We usually went on a Monday afternoon to get the best senior discount. And there were rarely more than 4 or 5 people in the audience. We took turns picking the movie and thoroughly enjoyed hanging out there for the afternoon. My favorite memory was last year when Willis picked the newly released version of Halloween. I warned him they don't like horror movies. I might end up sitting in his lap. So that afternoon, I picked up Willis. After our customary Mexican food lunch, we headed to the theater. If I remember correctly, there were only 4 people in the theater besides us that day. But halfway through the movie, something very scary happened. I screamed and surprised Willis by jumping in his lap. He screamed back and held me tightly. I reminded him that I told him that I didn't like scary movies. I ended up in his lap. He laughed very loud in that special Willis laugh, which made me burst out laughing. Then 4 people 10 rows behind us started laughing at us, and I'm pretty sure they thought either we were nuts or that we were dating. Willis and Ann, and while I was being your hearts, and we wish you could be here today, but please know we love you and miss you.
Thank you.
Dan and Deb.
That was
It's a good thing I'm loud and don't need a microphone. Kind of like my best friend that we're honoring today. And I hope I can get through this too, and if not, Julie can come up here because she did a great job at the service. And she was able to get through it. So, Tuesday night I got a text from Greg, and he said him and Sasso had asked if I would say a few words about Willis at the dedication. And so that was an honor, but it was also a lot of pressure. And for the last probably 3 nights, I haven't slept thinking about, my God, I got all these stories about Willis, so I got to put them all down on paper. And so I did this 3-ring binder. This is all And so Barb said to me, she said, what's that 3-ring binder? And I said, Barb, I've got all these stories about Willis I've got to tell on Saturday. And she said, Kevin, you got to remember, there are going to be spouses there, and there's going to be book club ladies there. And she said, you can only tell the appropriate stories. So, I've only got 4 pages. All the rest of them, I'll share privately. I moved out here a little over 10 years ago, and Willis was my first true friend out here. And I'd come up to the MGAs. We always played 2 different groups. He always played in the Dunn group. I always played early. He didn't want to spend the money and pay for a cart, and that's a good thing because he couldn't drive a golf cart. And so he was my first friend. And how we met is we load up just like this morning. All the carts are out there with the names on them, and you go to your cart. Well, Willis, Julie, I can't look at you. Don't look at me. Willis would see me coming, and he would call me the most vulgar names that you could come up with. Something about I had an oral fixation for things. And he had an Iowa Hawkeye driver cover, and his wood covers were Kentucky Wildcat covers. And that explains a lot about his vulgar names he was calling me. Willis, for years, was a part of the MGA committee, and he actually was the treasurer. And there isn't a better person to put as treasurer of the MGA because the guy was as tight as they came. And if you hadn't paid your dues, he would chase you down in the parking lot and tell you that you owed him $20. also was in charge of the college football pool that we do every year. So every Thursday night, you come down here, you'd see the green truck in the parking lot. You know Willis was there. We would all come down, turn our sheets in, and we always gave Willis 2 free entries. Willis never cashed on any of those 2 entries because he picked Kentucky and Iowa every week. Here's another surprise that a lot of you probably don't know. Unlike me, Willis was not bald by choice. Willis could grow hair. And I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know if he was getting wild at that age or what, but he decided he was going to grow hair. And I kid you not, he was growing his hair out here. And we were down there on a Thursday night, and we walked in, and I'll never forget Hixie looking at him and saying, "My God, you look like a chia pet." And not only did he look like a chia pet, his hair came out orange. It was similar to Donald Trump's tan colors.
That Hicks, it'll throw him out of this club.
Willis was also known for his one long eyebrow. And if he got too close to you, it would tickle your nose and you would sneeze. And there was the year that Kentucky did the run for the national championship in basketball. And they had Anthony Davis, who has now trademarked the unibrow because his eyebrows ran together. Well, Willis was the first. He had the unibrow. You know, probably 5, 6 months into mine and Willis's friendship, we decided that we were going to get the girls together. And, you know, we didn't know what to expect at that point. We didn't know Ann, and our fingers were crossed that she wasn't as wide open as Willis. And we went out, and the girls had a great time. I mean, me and Willis were brothers from another mother, and Ann and Barb are sisters. And so we would go to dinner, and occasionally Willis would get overserved. And sometimes I looked up to him, and he was a mentor, and I would get overserved just trying to be his friend. And so when the Mexican restaurant was where Ciciones used to be, we went out one night and we were having dinner, and Willis was a little overserved, leaning back in his chair, and he fell over in the middle of the restaurant. I mean, fell over on his back. And we all remember Willis's laugh. I mean, there's not a laugh other than Stephen Phillips like Willis. And he chuckled. And I thought, you know, I'm looking pretty good tonight. Willis is out of control. So we leave there. Ann's like, "Okay, Willis, it's time to go home." We heard that many of the times. And we are walking out of there. Well, I say to Willis, "Hey, come run and jump on my back. I'll give you a piggyback ride." He comes flying out that parking lot, jumps on my back. We both fall forward. And Ann and Barb just walked away.
I think we drove away.
And those stories are important because we were also very good friends with a lot of couples out here. We were really good friends with the Sassos too. And us and the Rosies and the Sassos would get together. And I can remember an evening sitting out on the patio at Sassos and over there on number 2. And Sasso looked at me and he said, "KP," he said, "we are so golden tonight." I said, "What do you mean, Larry? What are you talking about?" He said, "We got Willis with us." He said, "No matter what we do, we can't piss our wives off because he's going to take it one step further." Willis's favorite club in his golf bag was the Weenie Wood. And the Weenie Wood was a 1999 special off some impro version. And it was the rescue club before there was ever a rescue club. And I think he bought a couple of them in his life. And I had the honor, and I believe, me and Jeff talked about it today, I believe it was the last round that he probably played, but I know it was the last round I played. And we got to number 1. And Willis could hit that in Weenie Wood anywhere from 120 to 170. And, you know, Willis at this point suffering from some of the effects of this terrible disease. And I'll never forget, he hit his second shot to about 2 feet with a pink ball, putted it in for a birdie. And that's all we heard about the rest of that day. Willis will forever be known for a couple of, his legacy here will go on and on and on. I tell you, we talk about him every week. I mean, I'll be honest, we talk about him every week. And, you know, one of the things that he was known for, we went to the Stableford system probably 8 or 9 years ago where we got points. And if you double bogeyed, you didn't get any points. Well, Willis was all about the points. So he phrased the point baby. And we hear that out here every weekend when we play the Stableford. Point baby. And he would, you know, hit it up there. He'd tap in for his bogey. He'd reach in that hole with that shit-eating grin smile that he had. He'd lift the ball in the air and he'd say, "Point baby." Willis was also known for the walkabout. So listen up, you slow players. If you're out of the hole, you do a walkabout. The guy was ahead of his time when it came to the walkabout. So if Willis hit one in the hole, or hit one in the water, and he knew he wasn't going to get that infamous point baby he was always after, the elusive point, he would take his cart, he walked, and he would walk to the next hole. Not only would he walk to the next hole, he would play the next hole. And so I'll never forget being in his foursome, being up on the green, putting on number 5, looking over, and he was putting on number 6. And he had to wait for us to tee off on 7. And the only thing I could figure is Willis loved golf, but Willis loved his buddies. He loved his golf buddies. And I think he wanted to get in as quick as he could, order a Budweiser, sit around and talk smack to his golf buddies. And that's why I think the walkabout came. So you slow players, walkabouts. This one's a little more probably inappropriate, but I gotta go. I've tried to be really good today. You know, the show Let's Make a Deal, where they come out and they say, hey, if there's a deck of cards in your purse, we'll give you $500, whatever. Most guys out here had ball markers, tees, balls, gloves, those kind of things in their golf bag. Well, if you were a new member out here and you got paired with Willis, you got the special treat of when you teed off on number 17, he had a pair of plastic glasses, and instead of the big nose, there was a male member on the nose. And he would pull that out and tee off. He's the only guy in the world that carried those in his golf bag. Thank God. So as I start to close on a more serious note, and this is where it's going to get tough. That guy loved his wife, and we had numerous conversations. And when he was in a good mood, he would always call her Annie. And he would say, Kevin, we'd be walking down the fairway, and he'd say, Kevin, It's a good thing we got Annie and Barb, because nobody else would ever put up with all the shit that we talk about. And he loved you and adored you to death. But I've got to say, the only thing that lit up his world more than Annie was his daughter, Julie. I can't tell you how many stories we heard about her being a world-class swimmer. And I am surprised today that she doesn't have her gold medals around her neck like Michael Phelps. And that could only be topped by when she went to law school. And when she went to law school, he was never more proud. And he would say, Kevin, for somebody as uneducated as I am, my daughter's going to be an attorney. And that was so impressive for him. And he was so proud. And I would come down here on Thursday nights and he would tell me the same story over and over and over again about how Julie was doing. And that was only topped by when he told me that Julie got engaged to Jeff, who is also an attorney. He loved you guys to death. I know he didn't get to spend enough time with those grandbabies, but I know how happy he was when we FaceTimed and he was holding the grandbaby, and I'm like, Julie, why is Willis holding the baby? You know, Greg says out here all the time, he finishes his emails with you can never have enough golf buddies. And I agree with that if you're looking for a fourth. But I'll take Willis, one of my best friends, as a golf buddy, and in my foursome all the time. I loved Willis, and we all love you, Julie, and the family. And today we're here to dedicate this bench in his memory, where we always said, hit it to Willis's driveway. That legacy will carry on as long as we're all here. But today we want to dedicate this bench to your family and in the memory of a guy that was bigger than life. So at this point, I'd like to ask you guys to come up.
You know who you are.
And we can talk about these inappropriate stories later.
Gotcha. I think I probably know most of them.
I'm good to go without them.
Free beer.
You were one of them, Richard. You're not one of them.
Uh-oh. Someone ate her bow.
I know. I was giving her a great toy.
They stopped selling Budweiser when Willis left.
Bud, he was an Iowa fan, a Kentucky man, and a Bud man. And today, we toast our buddy Willis.
Cheers.
We love you.
Cheers.
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 Looking down.
Gary, I think you have a couple things you want to present.
Got a couple things to present, but I gotta tell a Willis story. So, this is on a lighter note, but I am at the pool. Are there any children here? Close your ears on this. I'm at the pool one day, and I had not paid my dues. Or I actually paid them in the clubhouse, but Willis did not have a record of it in the ledger. And he's like, hey, Hicks, you peckerhead, where are your dues? I said, Willis? I said, man, I paid my dues in there to LC or somebody in there. They're back there in the back. He's like, all right, then, I'm checking on it. And I get off the phone, and this beautiful lady beside me looks over at me, and she says, was that Willis Rosie? I said, yeah. She says, that's my husband. I said, God bless you. But in the
That is a true story.
and everybody take a drink to this one because this is great.
Oh.
Andy found this picture, pulled it up, napkins from the club, and our okay. And also, we'd love for you to have this.
Oh my God.
How much?
Oh my God. Oh, that is so
Today was a red, white, and blue tournament, and all the flags were red, white, and blue.
Oh my
We're
God.
actually going to do that probably in the future as a memorial tournament to all our fallen members and I always wanted a hug. We used to hug in the pool. He did love to go to the pool. He loved to go to the pool. And Willis was a little bit tight when it came to anything, whether it was mine. I've heard about going on a field trip, people see him come out of the bathroom like, how long ago did you get those underwear? When he comes to the pool one day, he's got these high shorts, look like something Pat Cricket had bought, and they're all plaid and look like underwear. And I said, how long have you had that swim trunk? He said, these are 80s, baby. What a great guy, though.
Family, as on behalf of the MGA, Willis's Golf Buddies, I think we raised over $1,000. We bought the bench. We dedicated money to that terrible disease he had, and this bench has its resting place out there on number 7. Andy and the club have already put the slab down, and we're gracious enough because Willis was such a key part of what Oak Valley is. We dedicate this bench to you and your family.
Yeah.
I want to quickly thank each and every one of you for being here. Thank you, Kevin, for your wonderful tribute, and all of it was so true. We lived a lot of different places, and probably we developed friendship here with just looking out at all of you, familiar faces that we miss. And he just loved each and every one of you. So I miss him. He went way too early. And again, I can't thank you all enough. Thank you for doing this today. Our daughter Julie, Jeff, the twins, we are so excited to be here and to do this for him with all of you. And that being said, please raise another glass or two to him and get some food. Of course, with COVID, we were a little bit limited on what we could